Imagine, you're a Jedi, your friends, your masters, slaughtered, your temple burns, you're captured, tortured, and told your only path to survival is to join the very empire that destroyed everything you loved. Now imagine you become the hunter, hunting children, killing innocents. Are you a victim or a villain? Today, we're diving into one of the darkest moral debates in Star Wars, the true nature of the Inquisitors. Welcome back to Inspired Theories, where we don't just talk Star Wars, we question it. Few groups in Star Wars are as tragic and as hated as the Inquisitors. They're in Rebels, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, and the recent Tales of the Empire. But behind the spinning lightsabers and the savage hunts lies a moral dilemma that splits fans down the middle. Because the Inquisitors were once Jedi, they were trained to protect peace and innocence. So how could they become torturers, murderers, and Sith agents hunting the very children they once swore to protect? Were they victims, forced into a darkness by fear and pain, or villains who willingly chose evil over death? Let's examine both sides, and finally, I'll tell you where I stand. Let's start with the argument that the Inquisitors were, above all else, victims. After Order 66, the galaxy became a death trap for any Jedi who survived. The Empire declared them traitors, clones hunted them ruthlessly, and for many, capture meant a fate far worse than death. According to the art of Jedi Fallen Order, many Inquisitors were tortured into submission. They were subjected to weeks, sometimes months, of psychological and physical torment designed to break them. We see this most clearly in Trilla Suduri, the second sister. Once a Padawan under Jedi Master Cere Junda, Trilla is captured, tortured, and forced to watch all other Jedi die. She says herself, "I gave in to the dark side, and I swore to serve them." Reva, the third sister from the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, was a youngling who witnessed Anakin's slaughter of the Jedi Temple. She survived only by playing dead among the corpses of her friends. She didn't become an Inquisitor because she wanted power. She did it to survive, and to get close enough to Vader to kill him. And these are not isolated examples. In the Darth Vader 2017 comics, Vader personally oversees the training of captured Jedi, beating them, humiliating them, and forcing them to kill each other in duels. The message was simple: join us or die. Some might argue that the Inquisitors never really had a choice, that they were victims of trauma so profound they could no longer see another path, even those who willingly did so under a cloud of terror and desperation. And it's crucial to remember who stood above them: Darth Vader, a figure of relentless violence. Even the Grand Inquisitor, the highest ranking among them, lived in terror of Vader's wrath. The Inquisitors may have committed atrocities, but many would say they were as much prisoners as they were monsters. Prisoners of fear, pain, and the iron fist of the Empire. Yet there's another side to the story, and it's impossible to ignore. Because as tragic as their stories are, the Inquisitors committed horrific crimes. They didn't just hunt Jedi, they tortured civilians for information. They slaughtered innocents. they hunted Force-sensitive children across the galaxy to prevent a new Jedi Order from rising. In Rebels, the Grand Inquisitor hunts Kanan Jarrus and threatens to kill Ezra Bridger without a second thought. He says chillingly, "There are worse things than death." In Jedi Fallen Order, the second sister is not only ruthless toward Jedi, she murders civilians just for harboring them. And the Inquisitors participated directly in the Empire's oppression of entire worlds. They became part of the machinery of tyranny. One of the strongest arguments that the Inquisitors are villains lies in the fact that some Jedi did not choose the dark side, despite going through similar trauma. Look at Cere Junda, Trilla's former master. She was captured, tortured, and fell to the dark side briefly, but ultimately rejected it and worked to protect Force-sensitive children from the Empire. Or Ahsoka Tano. She survived Order 66 and went into hiding, refusing to join the Empire, despite knowing it meant a life of fear. And then there's Barriss Offee, a perfect example of moral complexity. After betraying the Jedi during the Clone Wars, Barriss was imprisoned, but in Tales of the Empire, we learn she was recruited into the Inquisitorius, yet she could not bring herself to harm innocents. She refused to slaughter the helpless, fled the Empire, and chose a path of healing as a Jedi healer helping those in need. That's crucial, because it shows that even after the trauma, even after exposure to the same horrors, some Force users still made a different choice. They may have been tempted by the dark side, but they did not become monsters. So the question is, if Barriss could escape, why couldn't the others? And that's where the argument for villainy becomes stronger, because at some point, the Inquisitors stopped simply surviving and started actively choosing cruelty. Fear explains how they were recruited, but fear does not fully excuse how far they went. But we have to talk about the shadow looming over all of this. Darth Vader. Vader wasn't merely their commander. He was their executioner, tormentor, and ultimate threat. The Vader comics show Vader killing Inquisitors for minor failures. He cuts off limbs, humiliates them, forces them to duel each other for his amusement. The Grand Inquisitor himself said failure is death. Some argue the Inquisitors were little more than slaves with lightsabers, puppets driven by terror. But does fear justify murder? Even under Vader's rule, we have examples of Inquisitors like Barriss refusing to become murderers. That means choice did exist, however dangerous it was. So the Vader factor complicates the picture, but doesn't erase the Inquisitors' moral agency completely. It's one of the great moral tragedies of Star Wars, that these once noble Jedi were twisted into weapons of fear, yet remained just aware enough to know they were committing atrocities. So where do I stand? I believe the truth lies in the middle. The Inquisitors were absolutely victims, tortured, broken, and driven to the edge of sanity. But they were also villains, because once they chose to serve, they committed acts that went far beyond simple survival, hunting down children, murdering civilians, and embracing cruelty as a tool of power. I understand why they broke, but I can't ignore that they willingly participated in Vader's reign of terror. And it's true, Jedi like Cere Junda show us there was another path, even if it was dangerous, even if it meant hiding and living in fear. So my final verdict is this: the Inquisitors are victims who became villains. Their stories are tragic, but tragedy doesn't erase responsibility. Because in the end, as the galaxy has learned again and again, your choices define who you are, even in the dark. What do you think? Are the Inquisitors victims deserving our pity, or villains who deserve no forgiveness? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoy these debates, hit subscribe and let's keep exploring the moral grey zones of the Star Wars universe together. Next week, we will be discussing Yoda's exile. Was it cowardice or wisdom? You won't want to miss it. If you are enjoying the videos, become a member and let's uncover the galaxy's biggest secrets together. Thanks for watching.